Hello, life-changing friends. This is the results video for E squared experiment 4, which was to demonstrate to myself that whatever I intend expands, whatever I focus on expands. And what I focused on was the hope, the intention that in the following 48 hours I would get an offer of a paid mindfulness gig. And so I, put myself in a good position. I chilled out. I thought about what it would be like to do that, how lovely it would be to have such a thing, to spend time with somebody or a group of somebodies who actually wanted to learn and to listen to me. And I imagined how I would get out of bed on that day, looking forward to it and all that stuff. So the book didn't actually tell me to do that stuff, right? It just seemed like it seemed to be the thing that came with it, with the intention, right? It was a natural consequence of having a clear intention that I would take on another venue for my teaching. So what happened is that I did not get the offer of another venue for my teaching. Right, I did not. By the end of the time, and so I've been thinking. Is it something I did or didn't do? And I'm thinking, well, there was a certain amount of chatter in my head about how it was the weekend, so it wasn't going to happen in the weekend. That perhaps I didn't actually want to get caught up in that, in another session a week, or and I had some thoughts about, maybe it's going to be, I've applied to do a term's worth at a secondary education college, and I thought, oh well, maybe it's just it will just come through during this weekend, although that doesn't seem very likely. And I also thought, well, no, I mustn't narrow my thoughts down to exactly who and when and why and what. I should keep my mind open. I don't know where that idea came. No, I do know it came from the beginning of the book, which is that you have to keep your mind open. And then I thought, okay, so what it actually absolutely does say is that you don't have to do anything. So that stopped me from, chasing up this college, for example. And another couple of things that popped into my head as to what I might be able to do to make it happen quickly. Yeah. So, and I'm explaining that because I think one of the greatest and quite convincing criticisms of this whole idea is that you is that if you're responsible for good things happening to you, does that also mean that you're responsible for bad things happening to you? So if you can tune your coherence into making something happen you want, then why doesn't it work the other way? Maybe it does work the other way. That having an incoherent head or having a coherently bad head has the result of making things worse for you. And there's the kind of next step of that criticism, which is, does that mean that people who have had terrible things happen to them, or are living on the edge of starvation, or in a war zone, does that mean that they've got it wrong and that therefore it's somehow their fault, right? Okay, so I'm not going to make a judgment right now, because I am going to leave it until the very end of all the experiments to decide what I really think about this. But for the time being, those were the kind of thoughts on my mind during this experiment. And as a result of the fact that I have not received any offers. Okay. So then I get to the next experiment. Okay, so the next experiment, experiment 5, is the Dear Abby principle, that if you ask the field a question, it will answer. You just have to be listening, right? You just have to be listening. And it's, there were a series of anecdotes of people who had asked for something specific and had got, or an answer to a question or a sign, and had got a very clear sign. And then you get this kind of thing if you have a logic head like mine, which is that you think, were they clear enough that another person who did not have the expectation that they were going to get an answer to a particular question, that another person would have seen it as a sign? And the answer is maybe not. And so what does that mean? So if you're thinking about it from the point of view of an experiment, which is what this book is all about, then surely the experiment has to work for everyone, that it has to be clear enough for anyone to hear. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe that's not the case, maybe, but then I remembered that a couple of days ago, when it was the morning after I'd made this intention. If you remember, the intention was that I would get a paying gig for my mindfulness. And I woke up in the morning with a really clear, I kind of light bulb, right? A light bulb moment that the friend I was going to have dinner with that very evening was somebody who'd been told that they needed to do some mindfulness, but were having a really hard time getting down to it. So exactly my kind of client. So I had that, okay, so I could just suggest it to her. It seems really obvious. I've got the skills, you've got the need, and a little bit of money. Why don't we get together? And then I thought, no. I'm just watching that on my camera, and it goes, ooh. It makes it look as though I've got a flipper instead of a finger. Excuse me for the diversion. Yes. So anyway, in my head, I was going, no, it told me not to do anything. So I didn't do anything. The evening, very pleasant evening, delicious food, wonderful conversation, and I did not make the offer, and she did not ask me for it. So there we go. So perhaps I've no idea what would have happened if I had made the offer. I mean, I suspect that she would have said no, but who knows? Who knows? And I don't suppose the moment's passed. Maybe I'll ask her tonight. But yeah. So my point being that maybe this book, this author Pam Grout, is right that we have answers. You know, I knew it was a light bulb moment. I knew it was an insight from a place that I hadn't reached before looking at it. But I didn't act on it, right? I stopped myself from acting on it. And no conclusions, I'm just saying. Okay. So the next experiment, as I said, is that there is unlimited guidance available, that all I have to do is ask for guidance and I'll get a yes or no answer to a yes or no question. Before I tell you what my question is, I need to explain that the reason I'm even reviewing this book, the reason I am drawn to the things that I am currently drawn to read or think about or have conversations about, is because I've had experiences over the last few years where my rational mind had no way of making a distinction between certain choices and decisions. And so I've been kind of racked with chatter which is not resolvable, or that my mind has been drawn kind of in a rather addictive kind of a way to models of human thought and behaviour which are constructed by somebody's rational mind, right? In order to try and understand the underlying structure of myself mainly, but also other people, so that I could, my aim was to finally have a clear way of deciding important things for myself and less important things. And what I've discovered it's taken me a long time. I have developed grey hairs in the meantime. Is that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If I have a new model and I've gone quite far down the rabbit hole and know enough about it that I think I know, what the inventors intended me to know, I still don't have a solution. I still don't have an answer, because all it's done is it's added another block in the block of models in my head that I can't differentiate between, which is the useful one in this particular case. So I have independently developed an awareness of what this 12 steps, the first step of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous is to admit that I'm powerless. And so I definitely have that experience of my mind, my rational mind, being powerless over, knowing anything about my life, really, in a way. I mean, obviously it's not true literally, like I know quite a lot of things about my life, but knowing the kind of things that you need to really know in order to Make good decisions for yourself. I don't feel as though I know those things well enough to make good decisions for myself. So there you go. So I am going to ask the question of this field. I'm going to say in the next 48 hours, so that's between now and Wednesday the 10th of April at 3:41 p.m, I would like a clear sign that my intuition is a more effective tool for making decisions than my rational mind. Okay, so I won't be back on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to post a review of something completely unrelated, because I am going to be on a bicycle in France. So the next time I will talk about this particular thing will be sometime the following week. So in the meantime, look after yourselves and happy reading.